A year ago I saw this road on YouTube, and I still remember how I felt this fear and delight. Moreover, having learned that the road is called the Road of Death, a few months later I of course went to fulfill this dream of ours, dear motorcyclists. Before this trip, I rode a dirt motorcycle for 2 seasons, but I still get scared every time when I ride it. Most often I'm so afraid that fear makes me sick and my stomach churn. Only after a while, when the obstacles along the way become very difficult for me, and the fear is unbearable, it seems it turns off, and I find myself in another reality. My other motorcycle dream was the region that is called Ladakh, or Little Tibet. It is a territory on the north of India, which borders Tibet. The majority of the population here are Tibetan Buddhists, and Buddhism is spiritually close to me. In the Indian part of Tibet, you don't need an expensive permit, so there is no need to travel in a group with a guide, as it's needed in Chinese Tibet. All this attracted me very much, because traveling with a guide and a group without spontaneity along the way is kind of boring. This part of the Himalayas is stunningly beautiful. Ladakh has the highest mountains in the world. For example, we passed a transport pass which is 5,600 height, spent the night at 4,800, lived in the city at 3,500. There will be no drone footage in this video, because drones are banned in India and you should not even take it here. In general, the whole trip was like in these videos: the road, the road, the road. The video sequence you will see is truthful and reflects reality. So the two parts of the dream, Indian Tibet and the Road of Death, were defined. I told my thoughts to a friend from Malaysia who had already traveled to these places, and he performed a miracle. He immediately gave me the plan of a possible journey, where I easily included another dream of mine. The Kingdom of Zanskar. Sounds nice, doesn't it? The road turned out like this: Death Road Kilarkishtwar, Kashmir, Wonder Kingdom Zanskar, and Indian Tibet. Apart from that, in this region there are several other very beautiful and interesting places. We simply didn't have time to visit them, but you can plan a trip there. Boundless beauty. An approximate itinerary was made, and one most important thing was left: the secret beginning of any journey: buy a ticket to the place of your dreams. Same as in the story about Kamchatka, I spent the winter at a ski resort in Siberia. Until the end of February 2022, I studied, worked a lot, I did both snowboarding and a bit of snow biking, with all my heart. I remember that day when I had $600 left in my bank accounts, and what I did was, I without hesitation bought tickets to India and back, realizing that this time everything fell apart very seriously. Either I will not spend everything on a ticket, or I will leave it for life and I will not go anywhere. And of course I decided that I would go to India. What happens, happens. I will eat only rice there, I don't care. The main thing is to live. This was a girl-only trip, with Julia from Kamchatka and Margo from Novokuznetsk, who are experienced dirt motorcycle riders. While getting ready for the journey, each of us had our own difficulties. But we knew for sure that the trip would happen. It all worked out for me the way that I went to India with enough money to rent a Royal Enfield Himalayan 400 and to live on the road for a whole month without really needing anything. I meditated on abundance, and without any effort some projects worked out by themselves, and everything turned out as usual by itself. It sounds suspiciously simple and weird, right? In fact, already in March, I didn't have anything to live on at the mountain ski resort, because my source of income, stock photography, turned out to be blocked and photo shoots were almost over. I didn't want to dream, nor to snowboard, nor to be joyful, nor to work. But I voluntarily and entirely immersed myself into the horror of what is happening in the world. Then I gave up on everything. I started to ride a dirt motorcycle like crazy. From April to June, on different motorcycles, in different places on the country. You can say that I was preparing for India and only sometimes was remembering that I shouldn't be crippled by such a force. In early June, right before India, I spontaneously took part in a hard enduro race. And for the first time in my life, I hurt my back over bending backwards, and then frontward, suffered, injured myself, but didn't break anything, and went to India without even doing an X-ray. With my healthy diet and yoga, even severe bruises heal very quickly. Due to the strength of the bones, the possibility of a fracture is reduced. Also, with such a diet, the immune system is strong, and it is not scary to catch an infection when everyone around is sick. Of course, that time I was riding a motorcycle recklessly. No one is safe from serious injuries riding in such conditions. At the same time, everything just happened the way it was supposed to. So the day of departure was calm. It was the first girls-only trip in my life. And it, moreover, was on motorcycles, to Little Tibet, the path to which lay through the road of death and magic Zanskar. Lord, guys, what else can I say? You have to feel it yourself. This is fucking awesome. Until we passed the first section of the road, the death road, I was terribly scared. I watched my crazy girls laughing and getting blissed out, then observed my own tension. I didn't do anything about it. Otherwise, why else would I feel happy now, remembering all this? And what could I do with it? It was a natural reaction of my coward body. Julia somehow tried to say that a dangerous section of the road is about to begin, and she might start to be afraid. But I immediately replied that the one who would be afraid for all of us would be me. Probably I sounded so convincing that she laughing and immediately calmed down.
У меня тоже внутри вот так вот все. Да? Я просто вообще, я прям не знаю, меня прям это... Как хорошо, что мы решили.
It's been a long while since I understood that behind this veiled fear lie the most exciting things. Fear is the most interesting indicator that sends signals about where exactly we should go. And of course, my girls colored this journey for me with completely new colors. From the very beginning, I had a personal task to survive the whole range of emotions, and aggression is particular. One of the first days, girls passed me off by leaving me behind, because these crazy injurists simply don't know how to ride slowly. But the next day I got tired of freaking out, and we just drove separately. We spent time together in the parking lots. Their constant humor and easygoing attitude to everything made me feel envious. When traveling in that part of the world, it is very important to choose the right season. The time without rain and snow there is very limited and slightly different for each region. The best time is around the end of June, the beginning of July, somewhere in September. In my blog there is a free post guide with numbers, prices, useful contacts and links about the road, overnight stays, gas stations, what month is the best to go on this trip, what motorcycles and where to take, how many kilometers you can ride per day. This is important because sometimes for the whole day you can ride a maximum of 100 kilometers, sometimes less. The link to this information is in the description on the video. In India you need an international motorcycle driver license, and sometimes they check it. In terms of money for this trip, I spent at least $900 per month in India. 21 days of renting a motorcycle is about half of this amount. The rest is food and housing expenses. To add to these expenses, tickets to and from India. I just didn't have any more. In general, how much you take with you on your trip is how much you spend. I say this as a professional traveler. I know people who go damn we nowhere without money at all, and they find where to earn on the way. About motorcycle and why we rent Himalayas. These Enfield motorcycles are the best for off-road. You can ride classic there as well, although for off-road it will be more difficult, but cheaper and more stylish. In total for 21 days we rode about 2000 kilometers. Sometimes off-road, sometimes on asphalt. To ride on asphalt is much scarier than off-road. For example, I probably never experienced such a horror and didn't swear under my helmet for such a long time as on the day when I was on this part of the road to the Nubra desert in Little Tibet. It was very unpleasant to drive along the narrow mountains road that is cut out in a rock and has constant blind bends. Cars fly towards you and do not even think to move to the side of the road. I rarely managed to fit on this narrow road without slowing down and stopping on the side of the road. There is no side there. Along the road there are mostly small ditches of stones that you can't drive on without the possibility of falling. I don't know how more fearless bikers manage to ride there without slowing down. I have yet to fully realize this, that I can do it too. In theory, probably. Later I learned that the number of accidents on this road and the road to Pangong Lake is even greater than on the Death Road. But it is really very beautiful there. During this trip we had a lot of rest. We lived for a week in the capital of Ladakh, Leh. It's a Tibetan city at an altitude of 3,500 meters. There is a cool hotel by Ira and Dorje. You can find the details in my blog, in the list of useful contacts. If you go to those places, then you should definitely take into account the opportunity to hang out in Leh. This is an amazing city. And if you plan to do some shopping, it is better to do it not in Manali, from where we started the trip, but here in Leh. If you are wondering if it's possible to travel this road by yourself, I will answer for sure. Not just possible, but necessary. Traveling alone in India is the best thing I can suggest you to do, even if you are a girl. And of course, on this journey we met people who helped us. Sometimes it looked like a miracle, but India in general is one of the countries rich in miracles. Being there, relax, no tension. Just let everything happen.
Can I buy mango in random?
In this country, you can see much clearer how unreal the surround reality is. Probably Zanskar impressed us the most. We were on our way while the roads there were just being built. When there were almost no tourists, the monks were sincerely happy to talk and were very open. In 2025, there will surely be good roads, nothing brutal along the way, and many tourists, because these places are incredible. Another thing I remember is the overnight stay at the altitude of 2,800 at the turn of the South Lake Harp. We spent the night in a super simple guest house without even beds. A man and his nephew live there all summer, at this amazing height. I just really love this kind of places and this height. We nearly didn't have any mountain sickness. I'm accustomed to altitude. I know how to eat to feel good, and our whole road was planned in such a way that we riding motorcycles gained altitude gradually. Now I'll get back to the preparations and tell you how it turned out that old spring I did nothing but ride a dirt motorcycle, worked less than usual, but money for India showed up. This moment surprised in the previous video about Kamchatka. I have been traveling since 2010, and it was very interesting for me to find out and tell on my blog about how people earn money while living such a free life. I saw that these people had more stable income and wanted to learn about it, until I realized that money is energy and it has its own rules. I worked for salary only a few years of my life, a long time ago. That time my son was already born, and the job suited me in order to prepare for admission exams to the university. For about 20 years I haven't been working for someone. I just fanatically do what I like, what I cannot help doing. And if it also brings income, it becomes a bonus. I never estimate the earning potential of what I do. Firstly, money is energy, and it is attracted to the state of mind and not estimation and forecast. Well, why should I follow these scenarios made up by society or other people when I can create my own rules? I can create life without restrictions, without things that I don't like. I have no income from renting an apartment, no credit cards. My parents never helped me. Now I can only rely on myself. But I have skills and constant desire for self-growth. I graduated from the Faculty of Journalism. I am a yoga therapist, a photographer. I shoot videos. I have been doing professional photography for 15 years, and I am great at it. In a Siberian ski resort, I sometimes had 3 photo shoots a day. I managed to do a photo shoot for freeriders, practice freeriding myself, then on the same day edit all 3 photo shoots and deliver them. I have been doing stock photography for 10 years. Although now this source of income went down for solo photographers. Their earnings are even below the minimum wage. For example, I entirely filmed the previous video about Kamchatka myself, edited it in one day, when I was in the mood to do it. The text for it was written in 20 minutes. By the way, I took a video editing course quite recently, in the winter of 2022, when I was planning a trip to India. All winter I practiced it every day for 1 or 2 hours. Everyone has access to education at any age. I get the ability to think clearly and write text quickly, to solve creative problems and much more from meditation. It clears the mind. Get in touch with the pilot of your consciousness and turns off this bleak autopilot that constantly makes noise in your head, on which most people live in modern cities. In our society, generally, it is common to adjust your life to fit your income. But there is another way. Income itself adjusts to your life. Money shows up for those pure actions coming from your soul that you are ready for. What you believe in is that will happen. You just need to relax, be able to trust this world, and move forward. It is another effect of meditation. Everyone already has it, but it's just hidden somewhere inside. Noise in the head, a lot of behavioral patterns that we use mechanically make us lazy. But I meditate, and I don't understand why you can't grow constantly. 3 seasons ago, when I first came to the ski resort, I was not even accepted to the beginners group of the freeride snowboard school, because I didn't know how to stand on the board. A year later, I was already joining any group, holding the camera in my hands and shooting them along the way. The dream became a reality quickly, and to reach it, I just enjoyed riding. More precisely, of course, I trained hard every day, but I don't dare to call it that way. Every day from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. I have a clear schedule: yoga and meditation for at least 2 hours, work on various projects, study and sleep, read, zero alcohol, parties and zombie TV. How to call all this work? I don't know. I just know that these are surely actions through clearing the mind, through fears, but definitely actions from the heart and not on autopilot that is made of calculated patterns. I am a workaholic, introvert, nerd, and this is my bliss. I can't imagine how to live differently. How not to learn anything, not to strive for anything, not to go through the fears, and not to enjoy what you are doing. Otherwise, what is this all for?